Hey, what's going on, folks? Listen, I am under this tree because some of y'all shady. No, I'm just playing. Listen, I had this question. I always present this thing as a question, and this is a relationship ready moment with Czar, of course, whatever. And my thought is, and my question is, does your relational philosophy, is your relational philosophy a benefit to those that are in your life, or is it a risk to those that are in your life? There's a lot of talk about people trusting and there having to be trust for relationships to work and all of this stuff, you know, everything that we say regarding trust and people having trust issues and all these things, different, you know, the different stuff like that or whatever. But one of the things that I rarely hear talked about is how to be trustworthy. All right, because ultimately we're always looking for the one that we can supposedly trust, but are we positioning ourselves to be trustworthy? All right, because if your relational philosophy, one of the first things that I always do when I meet somebody, I either ask them or I look for their relational philosophy. What is your relational philosophy? What is it that guides your life in terms of how you relate to other people? And this may not just be for dating, or this may not just be for your romantic ships and all that other stuff or whatever, but I'm talking about period. How do you see humans? How do you see others? How do you feel you should relate to them? And I'm not talking about just this moral thing in terms of be good to people so that you can get good back, right? Not the manipulative type of thing, but more so, how do you really truly see them in your heart? How do you really believe that people should be treated and that people should be cared for or nurtured, dealt with, whatever you would want to call it? How should people be handled? When you see another living soul, how do you really feel they should be handled? All right, so when I'm talking about your relational philosophy, I'm talking about what do you really mean when you're talking about I love you? What do you really mean when you say I want to be with you? What do you really mean when you say we're friends? What do you really mean when you say we're family and blood is thicker than water and all of this other stuff that we tend to say that are relational terms, and I want loyalty and this is that and the other? All right, what do you really mean? If your relational philosophy, and you got to really do some deep introspection, because I think sometimes all of us would generally just like, oh yeah, I'm beneficial to people. All right, but when you really do the research in your own soul, when you really do the self-introspection, ask yourself this question: is my relational philosophy beneficial to others, or does it put them at risk? Does it put them at risk to maybe being harmed at some point? Does it put them at risk of me walking out on them? Does it put them at risk of me walking out of? Does it put them at risk of having to wonder what I'm doing? Does it put them at risk of having to basically get their heart broken? All right, at the end of the day, we're always going to, you know, step on each other's toes. We're going to do things that we maybe shouldn't have done, or things that maybe wasn't the wisest thing to do in our relationship with those people. But at the end of the day, we need to have a general philosophy that says, I am love for you, and I'm going to be that no matter what. And actually, when I recognize that I am love for you, I can't be anything other than that. Part of my relational philosophy is simply that. It's the hashtag, you see me do it all the time, the hashtag I am love for you. Because one, it holds you accountable to actually being that and not just having it. All right, the things we have we can get rid of, but the things that you are tend to be what you have been created to be. So when we assume that as an identity, and we begin to function that way, and the way we our filter and our lens and all of that, it comes from that space. All right, the way you deal with people in your relationships is not just based on what you want from them, but it's also based on what you really feel you as a being should be giving to them. All right, so when you look at your relational philosophy, is it a huge risk? Are people taking a risk to be friends with you? Are people taking a risk to be a romantic partner with you? Are people taking a risk to be in business with you? Are people taking a risk to whatever relationship you can think about, because I can't think about any other right now. But what is the risk factor? All right, when you look at your relational philosophy and how you deal with people, are you one of those people that just cut people off at the moment something doesn't go the right way? All right, that does not particularly make you very trustworthy. All right, that might be tight, but it's right. All right, if everything out of your mouth is how to get rid of folks, and if everything out of your mouth is I don't take nothing from nobody, you know, it may sound good in terms of your own well-being, but at the end of the day, the people around you Even some of those that be like, well, he real, she real. Even those around you, I almost can guarantee you, their level of ease or their level of risk for you goes up. How you talk about other people, the way you treat other people, at least this is for me. Maybe I should say this is for me. I look at and listen to how we talk about other folks, and if you talk about them that way, or you say that, you know, they did XYZ and you was just done with them and through with them and this is that and the other, what's gonna happen when I do something that you don't like? When I do something that kind of, you know, turns you the wrong way, or this is that and the other. I mean, these are things that we really have to think about. And I think I was on a post one time before, and they asked some of the questions that we should have in dating, or what are deal breakers in dating, and all of these other little things, whatever. Because most things that you see regarding relationships are about dating, you know, because we're obsessed with getting our boo and getting that thing going, you know. But anyway, and I said one of my biggest things has always been, what is the relational philosophy that people actually carry? What is the relational philosophy that we actually have in terms of living our life? I want to know that, because if your relational philosophy is the moment fire comes, you get rid of people. The moment somebody do something you don't need, they shouldn't have done, you get rid of them. You know, then that lets me know, because I know that I'm not perfect, and I know that I cannot always sustain your desire and sustain your happiness and sustain all of those particular things. So I know that, oh shoot, so the moment something happens, you're telling me that you're exiting stage left, or that you even operate from this place of just being in love versus actually having a gearing and a leading towards unconditional love. All right, so all of that plays into and is a part of whatever you consider to be, or what you consider to have as far as your relational philosophy. All right, and that is a hugely important thing. It is hugely important when we're talking about positioning ourselves to be support for one another, positioning ourselves to be love for one another, positioning ourselves for relationships that thrive. All right, you got to do some introspection on that and really be honest with yourself. It's your current relational philosophy. All right, how you deal with things, how you get what you want, your desires, should all of them always be met? All of that stuff, your relational philosophy, is it beneficial to people? Is it beneficial to humanity? Does it help humanity thrive? Not just you thrive, but does it help humanity thrive? Right? Does it help others in your life thrive? Nobody's in this world by themselves. Right, so does it help others to thrive? Help all of us to thrive? Because I'm not saying exclude yourself either. All right, but does it help others to thrive, or are you a huge risk? The way you believe and think about things and the way you deal with relationships, is it a risk? Are people taking a huge risk in entering into a relationship with you? Entering into any type of devoted relationship with you? I was going to save a lot of this for the Society 61 members in our membership site and stuff like that, but I felt like this is something that I think all of us really need to kind of hear and kind of embrace and kind of think about and kind of assess. So once more, again, your relational philosophy, is it a benefit to others, or is it a risk to them? Are you trustworthy? Are you really loyal? Can I really say this person is a loyal friend? Can I really say this person is trustworthy in the sense that they'll care for me, in the sense that they will even do their own work? Come on, people. That they'll even do their own work in order to make sure that we're living win-win situations. All right, because if we're not, if your philosophy is one where I win and they don't, and I don't, well, at least I got what I got. At least I learned my lesson. At least I did such and such, such and such. Then in some ways, I hate to say this, you're not a very trustworthy person. So why should anybody trust you? You know, so you're a risk factor. All right. But anyway, think about that. And I hope that this was a little bit helpful to kind of spark some things. I'm going to be doing some more stuff on this or whatever. But like I said, maybe save some of this stuff for the members of Society 61, which for some of y'all that don't know, that's really coming soon for y'all or whatever. But anyway, I want you to know, at least this is from my heart, I am love for you. And I really hope and pray that you will be love for me. All right. Peace.